Ever since his impressive debut against Sal Woods on Strikeforce back in June of 2009, Tyron Woodley has made a name for himself in the world of mixed martial arts, and it looks as if fame has come calling once more. With the former champion set to take on undefeated YouTube boxer Jake Paul in just over a month's time. What type of lifestyle does Tyron Woodley live at the moment, and what does someone like him spend his hard-earned cash on? Well, whether you're a combat sports fanatic or just want to know more about the champion that may fall to the force of Jake Paul, you've come to the right place, as we're about to explore everything there is to know about his life behind the scenes. So strap yourselves in and get ready for an informative ride as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. The lifestyle of Tyron Woodley. For those of you who don't know, Tyron Woodley first won the UFC Welterweight Championship when he defeated Robbie Lawler in 2016. And since this impressive defeat was by way of technical knockout, many fighters came at him in an attempt to take the title for their own. Luckily for him though, he had the skill to back this defense up, keeping possession of the belt by taking out the likes of Demian Maia, Stephen Thompson, and Darren. But when 2019 came around, Woodley ended up losing this much-loved title to UFC maniac Kamaru Usman. That being said, the superstar had a solid 3-year run as champion of the Octagon in the welterweight division, which brought with it a number of promotional opportunities and a solid amount of sales when it came to his very own merchandise. Suffice to say, Tyron knew precisely what it would take to make a killing out of his success in the UFC, resulting in a steady inflow of cash from each and every event he participated in. According to financial experts, his current net worth is considered to be around $4 million. But for those of you who have been paying attention, this amount is looking to increase drastically at the end of August when he finally faces off against the likes of Jake Paul. Considering just how brilliantly the MMA legend has performed over the last few years, it shouldn't surprise you to hear that he has lived a pretty enjoyable lifestyle up until this point. Although many have painted him as the villain in the welterweight division, this hasn't stopped him from enjoying himself. In fact, Woodley spoke on the Ariel Helwani show back in January of last year about the crazy lifestyle that came with being a champion for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He even stated that he got to a point where he couldn't stop spending money when he held the position of King of the Welterweight division. In his own words, "I blew through a lot of effing money, man. A lot of money. And that was on jewelry and VIP and all these experiences. All these things that came with the championship life. When you come from where I came from, you never imagine being in that type of position. You work hard for it. I didn't get there by accident because I was busting my butt, but nobody taught me finance." Having grown up in Ferguson, Missouri, which later became famous for the unfortunate shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown by the Ferguson Police Department, Woodley never thought that he'd be able to make something of his life. His early childhood was filled to the brim with people telling him that he would never get out of Ferguson. After all, with all the color of his skin making him feel like nothing more than a second-class citizen in the small town. So when his wrestling career took him to the direction of MMA, and he found himself holding that championship belt, there's no doubt that the excitement was unbearable. So we get where he was coming from when he went on to tell the host that his spending as a champion was a bit erratic. In fact, he further added that when he first started making money, he went on to buy 2 big houses and 7 cars in total. He'd also take trips on the regular and spend more than a few nights a week blowing his cash on VIP clubs. When summing up the lifestyle, he made sure that the following was known: "I bought like 7 cars and effing 2 houses, and all these trips. Nobody ever lifted a effing hand when he was at a restaurant with 10 to 15 people at dinner, and I was going to VIP clubs and all that S, like every other week. And I just imagined making that amount of money for a very long time." And then very quickly said, "Poof, damn," and it's just a lesson learned. So it seemed as if Tyron Woodley is no longer living the baller, rich lifestyle that he used to just a few years ago when he could be described as the welterweight champion of the UFC. If his interview is to be believed, he was calmed down pretty drastically now that he knows that he won't be making such an obscene amount of money for long. After spending an extraordinary amount of items that he clearly didn't need at the time, he's admitted to being financially irresponsible. But whether this type of behavior will continue once he gets his big payout from the Paul fight, we'll just have to see. Until then though, let's take a look at some of the things he's been known to spend his money on. Number 1, his family. Unbeknownst to the UFC fan base that have been labeled him the villain of the octagon, Tyron Woodley is actually a married man with 4 children resulting from his relationship with the beautiful Avery Woodley. Just take one look at the superstar's official Instagram account and you'll see just how proud he is of little Dylan, Darren, Tyron Jr., and Gabby. As any proud father would, Tyron spends an exceptional amount of money to ensure that his family is thoroughly looked after. Remember, the man puts his life on the line every time he steps in the octagon, so he has to make sure that his family is in the clear just in case something horrendous happens to him one day. He also does everything he can to spoil his family, often taking them to foreign countries on vacation. Although this doesn't happen as much as it used to due to the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, there's no doubt in our mind that Woodley will be celebrating with his family shortly after finishing up with the Paul fight in a few days. And it wouldn't be surprising if this celebration takes the form of a much-deserved family trip to faraway land once more. But the former champion doesn't ensure that his kids are always dressed well and fed. His care and appreciation also extends to his mother. He recalls the moment that he built her a gingerbread house one Christmas growing up, saying that he would make something of himself and end up buying her a real house. While this might have been nothing more than a promise from an unexpected 10-year-old boy, Tyron knew exactly what he had to do after being crowned the welterweight champion of the UFC. So back in December of 2017, he made his mom's day by making good on his 25-year-old promise. When discussing the emotional moment in a video that was posted in social media, Woodley said the following: "It's a very special Christmas for me. Since I was a 10-year-old kid, I always told my mom that I would buy her a house. Today's that day. Feels really good, really rewarding. A really good day for me. Really excited." Keep in mind that we have absolutely no idea how much this purchase must have cost the brilliant fighter. It goes without saying that he wouldn't skimp on his own mother. And considering the video of her thanking her son that can be found online, we know for a fact that she appreciated the incredible gift. Number 2, his sneaker collection. It's actually quite strange that Tyron Woodley doesn't flex on his fans as badly as the other MMA stars in the UFC at the moment. As such, we're not really sure how much he spends on a daily visit to the nearest sneaker shop. That being said, we got some insights into what a trip like this might cost when he posted it just a few days ago on his Instagram page. The picture included 9 pairs of sneakers ranging from Nikes to high tops. So while we might not know what the superstar spends, there's no doubt that his entire collection is worth more than we could ever imagine. Number 3, his car collection. Once more, not much is really known about his car collection over and above the fact that he actually has one. As we mentioned earlier, he ended up buying around 7 cars back in the day and posted about his purchase of a beautiful white Bentley back at the beginning of this month. In other words, it looks like the man is back in the saddle and is once more spending more on transportation than he needs to. But with a net worth of around $4 million, why not, right? But what do you think of the rich lifestyle of Tyron Woodley? Let us know in the comments section below.